On the couch.
Yeah.
Mickey Sinardi.
Look at
On the couch.
Yeah. I hope everybody likes our set. Cost about $1.50 to put the set up here.
The odd cast set, yeah. This is an odd cast, definitely.
And they're shooting us from the waist up here.
That's
because we're not wearing any pants. That's because we
right. Yeah. Well, that's how we roll here at the apartment.
Yeah.
Neither of us wear any pants. It's how we tell each other apart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which one is which, but
yeah.
Okay. So, because we do kind of have a similar build.
Yeah. Bookends.
Yeah. So when we go into Ubers, I always tell them, not always, but I say we're brothers from different parents.
Yeah. Usually, when I make personal appearance, I wear a tie. Is it a personal appearance we're doing?
Well, in a way, it's like the last appearance. See, we have. So let's explain. We've been roommates for a couple of years now, at least, right?
Almost 3 years. And let me explain me. I'm. They probably know who you are, right?
No, nobody knows who I am either.
Okay.
No. Well, they know who you are. See, this guy's old Hollywood, and I'm like, I don't know what I am. I got here in the 2000s, so I'm like recent Hollywood, but he's been around for a while, and you knew all the people. Well, you knew some of a lot of the guys.
Well, here's what it was. So I always been interested in show business. My whole life. I don't know why I was interested in it. Don't know what got me the interest, but
there's no business like it.
There's no business like it, but other than having an aunt who was my godmother who was in vaudeville, I don't know how I got that interest. But anyway, I was interested in it, and about when I was in high school, final year, I did a talent show. I won the talent show. I did.
Wow.
Went up there, starting out comedian. I was a comedian.
Okay.
I consider myself a comedian. And most comedians, we start out doing impressions. Back in those days, the big show was like Ed Sullivan,
Okay,
right here on our show,
Right.
I do Jimmy Stewart. Everybody does Jimmy Stewart.
Right, Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, that sounds like John Wayne trying to do Jimmy Stewart.
Back then, even Elvis, I did Elvis. Elvis was alive.
Yeah, I saw your Elvis.
It was wonderful. I did the whole thing, and I, believe it or not, it was a talent contest in school. I won. And then they asked me that year, that was my senior year, they asked me to do the show at the banquet, the high school banquet. And I consider that my very first real performance.
The high school banquet?
Yeah, and doing comedy. And then...
So you were sort of like the lounge guy at the banquet?
Yeah, well, I put the whole show together.
Okay.
The banquet, was
it a one-man show? Or was it
2 hour. I got other people in the show, but I was... hate to say this, but it's true. I was the main attraction. I did comedy. I produced it. I wrote it. I directed it, and
you put yourself in a starring role.
Yeah, of course.
Well, a lot of guys do that. Okay, he's not the first. Okay, don't think that's not an egotistical thing. That's just like Rocky. Sylvester Stallone insisted that he be Rocky. He wrote the movie Rocky, but he insisted, even when they tried to pay him off, $500,000. No. I don't want the money.
I'm all for putting your name out in front if you did it. That was the thing that Walt Disney. If you ever remember Walt Disney, it was always Walt.
Well, Disney. I never met him. He died the year I was born.
But it was Walt Disney's. His name was always above the title.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I think, that there's nothing wrong with promoting yourself, because nobody else is going to be out there doing it for you.
Okay.
But anyway, and I started to that led to one thing, and this was in Florida. Eventually I came out to California, LA, did some shows, got mixed up in all these Hollywood celebrity shows. I was producing them, I was in them, and it led to one thing.
But you met people like Bob Hope, and you met people like of that generation. I mean, Jonathan Winters, you said.
Johnny Winters was a very good friend of mine. Became a good friend of mine. I used to talk to, from coming to my shows, I got to know him.
Yeah.
And we had some strange... When the cameras turned off, Johnny Winters could be very serious. He would talk to me. He said some things I can't even repeat on the air, but he talked about his wife being sick at the time. She had cancer. And he had very, very sad, very strange life. But then... when I was out in public with him, he was always on.
Yeah.
Always on. He was always doing a show. You could get one person in front of Johnny Winters, and he would do a whole show for them.
Right.
He always done that.
Robin Williams was the same way. See, I got to meet Robin Williams, and he did the same thing to me. I was just the only one in the room in 1981, and I said, "You're the king," and he went, "The king," and then started running around, and I was the only one there. And I was like, "Oh my God, this guy he does this with everybody. He's always like this." You know, but I'm sure he wasn't always like that. You get into a room, and you know him a little better. But obviously there was a lot of sadness in Robin Williams that he didn't bring out in public unless he, occasionally in films you could see it. But
and it's amazing because Jonathan Winters was Robin Williams' idol.
I know that's why I brought him up. Yeah, because Robin Williams, he accredited Jonathan Winters to his own madness. He said that's the direction I wanted to go in. And you're telling me that Jonathan Winters was the same way. He didn't care if he was on stage. The world was his stage, and that's I think.
you walk down. I walked down from 100 feet, 200 feet from a place we're performing to a restaurant. It took us an hour to get there. Because everybody was stopping, asking who he was, and talking to him, and he would do a performance for him all the time. Yeah. And then one thing about Johnny Winters, was very recognizable. So if somebody's seen him in there, and he was always very nice to the crowd, and at least the times I was with him, he was.
So you're saying there's a guy who was mad, but he enjoyed his fame.
Yeah, he did. I think he did. He enjoyed it. He always, when the crowd was there, or even if, like I said, one person, somebody was there for an audience, he was on. But like when we did some phone calls together, and there were a few of them.
You did prank phone calls with Jonathan Winters?
I pranked them, yeah.
Were they prank?
No. When I did phone calls with them, we were serious.
Because that might have been you on the other end going, "This is the city sewage department, and we've had enough shit out of you." That wasn't you that did that.
That wasn't me. Okay. No, that wasn't me.
Some Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters.
Guy did that to me.
But always very, very funny, very happy, and then But he's going through some hard times with his wife.
Well, yeah.
His wife was sick, and
he was a painter too. He did a lot of painting.
He painted.
His paintings are great.
We talked about bringing him to my shows. We talked about even bringing some of his paintings, but then
now you're talking about your shows. Now people don't know because they probably haven't seen your shows because you were a local.
Well,
I did locally.
Florida and other places where I performed. In New York, I performed.
Okay.
I performed quite a bit. I'm a stand-up comedian, which eventually came into music too. I do what I call a comedy concert with music.
What we'll do is we'll put a little, if we can. I don't know if we can add the clip, but we'll give you a link to the clip. There's a clip.
Yeah. That's the demo tape. Yeah, and I had. Many people at these Hollywood shows. 150 celebrities were at their autograph and everything.
Oh yeah, autograph parties and stuff. Yeah, celebrity autograph. And you did a lot of those because I did
in 10 years. I did 10 years, or sometimes 1 or 2 a year, and they were always like I said, 150, which is some of the biggest they ever had in Hollywood. They don't get the team, but some of the most star-filled. Everybody came to these things. But before that, while I was performing. And this is going almost 50 years now. I was a newspaper writer, entertainment.
All right,
writer.
yeah.
That's how I became, and that's how I started meeting all these.
And
people.
You came from Florida to Los Angeles.
Well, originally,
did you start off as a writer here? Is that how?
Originally, I was from.
I really don't know. We never talk. Okay?
No, we don't talk. We just see each other.
This is why we still like each other.
Say hello, and that's it. And then,
but I know he said a lot of stuff because we have some of the mutual friends, and so yeah.
Well, I was born in Jersey. Went to school there as a little kid. Then, when I was about 8 years old or so, my family moved to Florida. Lived there for went to school there in Tampa, Florida, most of my life, and then about 23 years ago, I was in entertainment. But if you're going to be national entertainment, you need to be out here in L.A.
Yeah.
Or New York.
It helps.
And I tried living in New York. I wasn't. I love New York. Got family, friends there, but it wasn't.
That's the correct term. I love New York too. I've only been there once, but I just love everything comes out of there.
Let's say I love New York.
Saturday Night Live comes out of there. A lot of great stuff came out of New York.
I love Manhattan, but I don't want to live there. It's nice. It's concrete jungle.
I just want to drink there because of that. I don't have to go there to drink. I can just drink Manhattan. So go ahead.
So 23 years ago, came out to L.A. and wanted to do the shows, and somehow I was performing and doing my act and everything, somehow I don't remember how I fell into doing these autograph shows and these celebrity and they became very big.
So when you say autograph shows, I've never been to one. So do you stand in line and then with your little notepad? I mean, I got my Muhammad Ali's autograph.
A lot of tables filled with celebrities. We'll just walk around like you're walking around.
So you get more than one celebrity.
Yeah. I had 150 at one show.
150 celebriries.
Mm-hmm. You walk around. It's like going.
How can you? There's more celebrities than there are fans in that situation. Like
sometimes there were. So you walk
That's
around.
like when there's more band members than there are audience, and that happens a lot.
Yeah, you walk
around. And when you're a duo or a trio, it really sucks. But go ahead.
You're funnier than me. That's not good. No, it's.
I'm not trying. Believe me.
It is. It's like a flea market of celebrities. You just walk to table. You talk to them. You get their autographs. Some of them, depending on who they were, had bigger lines.
Yeah. And Eddie Haskell. What was the guy's name? What was his
Ken
name?
Osmond.
Ken Osmond.
Kenny,
right.
I got to know quite well.
Now, he wasn't an Osmond brother.
No, he wasn't.
Or a cousin, or relative, or even
he was Eddie Haskell, and believe it or
Eddie
not,
Haskell. Believe It to Beaver show.
Him and Tony Dow, who played Wally.
Yeah, I like him.
Two guys who when the cameras are on, they're actors. But like Eddie Haskell surprised the hell out of me. You talk to him, you almost got to feed him to get answer out. Very quiet. Of course, he became a cop too.
He became a cop
because he could not find, after doing Leave It to Beaver, he told me he could not find work as an actor. Everybody said that's Eddie Haskell.
That's what happens with television. That was the scary part about being a television actor in the 50s, was that you couldn't transfer back to film a lot of times, or nobody wanted you in a movie afterwards. Mm. There were a few actors that crossed over, but you can't really think, there's not a lot of big time television stars.
Well, George Reeves is a great example.
Dick Van Dyke, there were a few greats, but
I mean, George Reeves, they say that's one reason. I think there's many ways how
George Reeves
died.
Is from the
Superman.
Oh, Superman!
But
right.
he felt that he could not, and when he did a movie called From Here to Eternity. Frank Sinatra, Burt Lancaster, Deborah Carr.
Great movie, yeah.
And when they did the previews, he was in that movie. And they said, Superman! His parts of that movie, most of them, except some ones that they couldn't get rid of, were cut out of that movie.
Wow.
So he...
That's the thing. Is like, you can't watch Bob Denver because you're going to go, Gilligan! Right? I mean, no matter what he did afterwards, it was always Gilligan that was in this movie, And it was always a made-for-TV movie. An after-school special with Bob Denver. But I mean, before that he was Maynard, though, so I mean, I don't know. He was... Right? He was in the...
He was first before Gilligan. He was Maynard.
So you go from TV to TV, which is a lot of people do that. And there's a couple people that did it. And even though they changed the environment, they never changed their character. And Bob Newhart's one of my favorites. Now, you didn't meet Bob, right? Or you did, or I don't remember.
Never had a chance to meet Bob Newhart.
Okay.
I met Bill Daly.
There's still time. Bob, I think you should meet this guy.
Yeah, I think
if you're watching Bob.
Yeah,
meet
Bob,
this guy.
Bob's
He's met all your friends.
Bob is... Well, one of the highlights of my life was talking to Bob Hope.
Speaking of Bobs.
Speaking of Bobs. And it was Bob Hope, this is when I was at the newspaper, it was Bob Hope's 91st birthday. Mm. And Bob was getting there in years, he couldn't, he had a lot of trouble with his eyes. And, he fell on his head once, and his eyes were, and he was having hearing trouble then. The guy was 91 years old at this point.
When did he fall on his head? How old was he when he fell on his head? Did it only happen once? Because for a guy that tall, I would think... This
is funny how this happened. Well, not funny to him, I guess. The strongest woman in the world said, I'll pick you up. And Bob said, no, you won't be able to hold me. You won't be able to carry me. And as a surprise thing, while they were filming, she picked him up and dropped him on his head. And since that time, he had a problem. But
now, did she drop him on purpose, or was he right?
No, he fell. He said, "I'm too heavy for you."
Yeah, right.
He was right.
He was right.
She didn't think,
let that go out to all you women trying to pick up men.
Yeah. Either way, literally,
you can pick them up the other way. It's fine with us, I think, if you pick us up the other way.
Why is this guy funnier than me? No, but the thing is,
it's not a contest.
It's competition. See who's good. But the thing is,
this is why we don't talk.
Anyway, Bob couldn't hear too well then, and I was trying to end the interview, and I said, Bob, his song's "Thanks for the Memory," I said, Bob, and I was trying to be clever, and I just to end the interview.
Not a good song to sing to a guy with Alzheimer's, but go ahead.
To the interview, I said, Bob, thanks for the memory. All right. Thanks for the... He started singing the song.
He started singing it.
It's a classic. I got this on tape. Yeah, he started singing the song, Thanks for the Memory. I said, keep going, and he did the whole thing for me. And then we talked about making that movie and how that became his... there was a little part in the movie, and it became his song, his introduction, his flagship song. So that was... Bob didn't have Alzheimer's or anything. He was just getting
91 years old.
Yeah, 91 years old, and he was. To me, age is a number.
If he can remember thanks to their memories, then you probably don't have Alzheimer's.
Bob Hope.
But if somebody's singing it to you and you don't remember where it came from,
I think
you might want to get it checked out.
He could remember every word. He first sang that song.
It's a sign
in a movie in 1938, and this was like 90 something, and he could remember every word of the song.
That song in particular, he probably sang it because he did a lot of troop stuff, right? He was like
every Christmas.
Yeah, he was always playing.
He was there.
He was always making trying to. Yeah, he did a lot of service and stuff.
Even the last wars of the Desert Storm or whatever, they were asking for him, and he went, even though he was not. He was like 90 then, but he still went, or in his 80s, and still went out there and did that.
Yeah.
So it was.
Well, I'm sure it scared the enemy to know that a 91-year-old was coming to town.
But
it's good for morale. Because those guys know how. I mean, they've done it before. They've been in wars. He was in World War. He wasn't in the Revolutionary War, and then
it might have been
then
World War I or something.
Yeah, right. No, the Revolutionary was before that. So I forget how old he actually became. I remember there was a very funny line in Bobcat Goldthwait's "Share the Warmth." It was cruel, I guess, if you look back, but it made me laugh so much. It was like in '84. When's Bob Hope gonna die? He goes, "You're getting funnier every year, Hope." Just during that lull time when he wasn't that funny towards the end of his life there.
Well, he lived to be 100,
No, I know, no. He was funny along, and when you look back...
Him and George Burns both made it to 100. That's amazing.
Yeah. George Burns was great.
And another one of my favorites...
Did you get to meet George?
Didn't meet George, but I met Milton Berle.
God, I wish George Burns, if he were around today, he wouldn't be smoking a cigar. He'd be vaping, I think. I think he'd be vaping.
Milton Berle was one of my favorites.
Wow. Uncle Milty now.
Interviewed him twice.
Well, I got to ask you. He didn't show you his junk, did he? Because I just had to ask, because he was known for showing people how big his... Apparently he had a piranha down there, or a pariah, or fucking...
Well, he never showed...
No, but he was known for that, right? I mean, you heard about that. You've been around long enough.
Well, funny...
He was, at Saturday Night Live, he showed half the cast. He was like in a robe, and he was like, look at this baby, I mean, that's ballsy.
I was with... matter of fact, funny you should bring that up. Saturday Night Live, which is a show that I feel it had its day, it still has not done... Saturday Night Live... You get me here. Your show of shows.
We're going to hear.
Your show of shows is better than Saturday Night Live.
Whose show?
Your show of shows.
The show. But that's
But Uncle Milty.
For the time. See, this is why you're in black and white and I'm in color.
No, if it wasn't for your show of shows, there wouldn't have been a Saturday Night.
No, I know. But you can say that about anything.
Again about Uncle Milty.
There'd be no Flintstones without the Honeymooners.
And Saturday Night Live. I was with him when he was on the phone talking about being booked on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, you were with Milton Berle.
Yeah. He was talking about him, and he was talking. I was sitting there with him, and he offered me a bunch of cigars, which I would have taken one now, even though I don't smoke. And we were talking about things, and we were very, very good. I interviewed him twice. I was in a show once, and it's funny. I was in the rehearsal, and the drummer didn't show up, and that ticked him off. And he said, well, the band said, well, I can get you a drummer here tonight. Tonight's so good. I knew. 20 minutes later, they had a drummer there.
Well, yeah, I mean, because
he had a thing with a Timph when he came on, and that had worked for him and everything.
You were in LA when this happened, or?
That was in Florida.
Oh, in Florida. Milton Berle was hanging in Florida.
Yeah, he was touring, and he did 2 performances there, and I was at both of them.
Oh, wow.
One year after another. They were a year apart.
And when you went to a Milton Berle show, it wasn't like stand-up comedy, was it? I mean, it was sketch stuff? Or
no, he did comedy. He did stand-up.
He just stood up with nothing?
For an hour.
an hour. He just told stories.
Yeah, him.
I wish there was a. Is there any?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
Because I've never seen Milton Berle do stand-up. I've seen him do sketches.
Oh yeah, he was a great stand-up comic. He did sketches too, but he could do stand-up. Yeah, and
Wow.
He was a songwriter too. He wrote many songs. Over 100 songs. The guy's really,
I might start respecting Milton Berle by the end of this, and that I don't know.
Yeah.
I change my mind all the time. The more I know, the more I realize I didn't know before.
And one who I grew up watching television, and it was a great thrill for me to interview Annette Funicello. And Annette was at this time had multiple sclerosis. She wasn't doing interviews, but she agreed to do an interview with me. And she was at a wheelchair, still beautiful. She was crippled and everything, but I got her to sing the song Mickey to me.
Mickey Mouse theme.
Yeah, and it almost.
I'm sure she really was. I'm sure of all the songs she probably knew, that was the one she wanted to do for you.
She was having trouble. Yeah, she was having trouble talking and everything. Wow. And she sang the song to me, and that was one time when I almost lost it. Couldn't believe that she was doing it.
Yeah.
It made me, and she was, we had a lot of fun. We're talking about her peanut butter commercials, and we're laughing, and it was a lot of fun, even though she was like the goodwill ambassador for Disney, but for 25 years she had this multiple sclerosis, and it got worse and worse on her. She got the degenerative time.
Wow.
But that was fun talking with her.
Wow.
And I've had so many.
Well, I've seen pictures of you and Pat Boone and Debbie Boone, and saw a picture of you with what was it, Robert Mitchum or something?
Well, Pat, I never met Robert Mitchum, but Pat and Debbie.
Somebody else then.
In 1978,
I did a lot of research for this interview.
Yeah, I can tell.
I should have Googled you at least.
It was my life, and I can't even remember half it. No, but it was Debbie in 1978. You Light Up My Life was the biggest song. This was when I was somebody. I could get in there when I came to Florida. I interviewed both of them. They were touring together, Pat and Debbie Boone, and it was she was the biggest star in the music business at that time. And
First, I wanted to say for you nobodies out there, I understand, because not everybody has been somebody, even though everyone's someone. Just remember that. Everyone is someone, but not everyone gets to be somebody. So that's why we're interviewing him, okay, because he's been somebody. And now that he's not anymore, he's letting us talk to him.
Thanks.
I appreciate you spending your time, because I
never had
a somebody in my life here. Yeah. If I known it was a somebody, I would have waited on him more. But okay, go ahead.
But when I was,
you're a somebody's bit. You've been a somebody. Never mind. I'm going to shut. I need to
interviewed over 100 celebrities, and it was a lot of fun. But today, the newspaper business is, everything's on the internet. It's hard to do. And I do radio shows. I interviewed people on the radio. I interviewed Captain Kangaroo. I interviewed Buffalo Bob Smith, a Howdy Doody. I mean, I interviewed so many people. If they ever came to town when I was in Florida, I would get them. I mean,
you have most of these on cassette tapes, too.
A lot of the,
so anybody who wants to make a couple bucks, you should digitize all that stuff. I've told him this myself, but we're busy guys, okay, especially during the pandemic. He's got a room to clean, I've got a room to sit in. We're busy, okay? Believe me, we're busy. We don't even have time to talk to each other.
Well, one of my favorite.
The only reason we're talking to him is he's moving away. So.
Mickey Rooney.
Rooney.
I interviewed him.
Wow.
The thing about Mickey Rooney was, something.
Is he taller than you, or I'm just curious? Okay, no, he wasn't. All right. I had to ask. It's just the first thing that came to mind.
You're getting too funny. No, Mickey Rooney. That's one guy I tower over. But he was.
I love that.
He was in 19. He's about 5'3". But when I interviewed him, Mickey Rooney, very loved, but he was a good-hearted liar. Everybody knew he toward the end there, especially, he lied. He came up with these stories. I'd ask him a question about something.
His life was so unimaginably unique that he wouldn't. You think a guy like that wouldn't have to lie? I mean, Mickey Rooney. He was this child star. He was like.
He was a child star all his life.
Yeah, and he was like
he grew up
5 or 6. He was up there with as young as Shirley Temple.
He was married 9 times.
9 times.
And he had a.
So you can have 9 wives, just not all at once. Okay, it should be in a row.
That stunted his growth, all those women. And I think that he was married.
We're thinking about all those women.
Yeah, he was married.
He's not blind.
But I asked him a question, and he goes in a roundabout way. I forgot what I asked him by the time he got the answer out. I know there's some things that, but he was a good-hearted liar. So you didn't care. I liked him a lot. I interviewed him twice.
I know some good-hearted liars. I've been in bands with a few of those. Guys that claim to be in bands they never were in that were famous bands, you know. Well, yeah, you were in that band, you were in that group, and then you meet somebody or you talk to somebody from the group. And I never heard of them. And you go, well, now do I tell them that I found them out? Or you just let them lie. I think
not that I want to let him lie. I think it's more like he's acted all his life. He told stories.
Yeah, exaggerations. That's what it is. It's really just a way of making yourself feel like you're part of the party that you never were invited to.
like we were talking about Mickey Mouse, and he says, "Well, I was with Walt Disney when he discovered Mickey Mouse, and he said, you're the name. I'll name him after you, Mickey Mouse." And it's not true.
That's a cool lie.
It's not true.
That's a great lie. See, if there was a cartoon character that I could say I was named after or named after me, I mean, you turn it around like that, I would probably say, if I were Mickey Rooney, because Mickey Mouse probably was born first, right? I mean, Mickey Mouse was Mickey Rooney.
Mickey
Rooney was a star before Mickey
born
Mouse.
A few years before Mickey.
But was he a star before Mickey Mouse? Who was the first star?
Well, Mickey Rooney was in all his life, but he wasn't a star. I mean, I think Mickey Mouse was a star first.
Right.
Mickey Mouse, I believe, came out in 1928, so he was a star.
Yeah, and that was, and later on, it was 30-something. He had the Steamboat Willie came out.
Well, that was his first one.
That was the first sound cartoon, but Mickey was in some silent ones before that.
Yeah.
Mickey's been around a long time, even longer than Mickey Rooney. So Mickey Rooney was probably named after Mickey Mouse. They're both about the same size.
But that's not
Minnie
the case.
Maybe Minnie Mickey. No, never mind. I'm going on a tangent. I'm going down a road no one else will go down.
And then, so I've had the good fortune of interviewing over 100 celebrities.
And you have most of them on cassettes.
Some of them I got to know as friends. Some of them are still friends. Some of them you meet.
I just think it'd be cool to hear them before they end up in a box in somebody's bedroom.
Unfortunately, I got many of them who are no longer with us.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm talking about the celebrities in the box. I'm talking about the cassettes, which is where they are right now. But I'm just saying, the celebrities are also, unfortunately, in boxes themselves. I wasn't going that direction. But yes, you're funnier than I am. So here we go. We're going to have a battle of who's funnier.
Yeah, but they were Mickey Rooney and. I've interviewed someone who's still alive, Bob Barker. I interviewed him. I interviewed
Bob Barker,
Ed McMahon. I've interviewed. I mean, there were so
Barbara
many people.
Eden. Like I saw her down at the club before the pandemic. I was she was hanging out at the Pineapple Hill.
Barbara Eden.
Yeah,
I had a chance to talk with Barbara and Jane Russell, the sex symbol of all time, was a friend of mine and had her at many of my shows. She was Terry Moore, another glamour girl from those years. They all came to my shows, and it wasn't just these shows were not when these shows started. Before I was in, it was who was on their way up or who was on their way down. It wasn't like that anymore. These were people who were. I mean, Jonathan Winters was always there, and he did the shows, and everybody who was major.
It was more. It was. Are you saying it was less competitive back then? Because I think there was a time when it wasn't really competitive. It was more like. It was luck. It was a luck-oriented industry. Now it's more competitive. I mean, people will actually go out of their way to sabotage you on their way up or down.
Well, there's so many now too.
Yeah, there's just so many people. That's true. I think there's an extra billion since in the last 100 years or whatever. At least.
Phyllis Diller, who I became friends with, who did my show. But when I met her first, when I interviewed her, she invited me backstage. I seen her. Right before her show, transform into this character she played. She was a nice grandmother type before stage, but when the wig and all this stuff, the short skirt, she changed her whole thing for that image that she created.
There's another person.
And after the show, I was standing back there, and she wouldn't let anybody in because she was nude, but she was standing at the door. And said, but what she didn't know at the time was behind her was a mirror.
Oh, so you got to see
So
the
I got a
backside
full view of where the sun don't shine.
You got to
Believe
see
me.
the backside. You got to see
And
it.
nobody laughed more at that than Phyllis. Phyllis thought that was hilarious. The big laugh of hers.
So you're saying she kind of mooned you in a
She didn't know
in a roundabout way.
She was mooning.
Yeah, it was a roundabout way, sort of a reflective. The moon of Phyllis Diller. That would be an interesting song if you took it from the moon of Phyllis Diller.
You're the songwriter.
Phyllis Diller's moon, and then it's the Phyllis Diller moon. And then you realize it's her rear end that you're seeing, not the beauty of her under the moon.
Well, how many songs have you written?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I stopped counting. I don't. Numbers aren't. The numbers aren't that important to me. I don't know. I just don't count them because if I spend brain energy remembering.
But if you're laying in bed or something, do you suddenly come to mind a song?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, I'll be doing something else, and I have to stop doing it. It's a sacrifice involved. And sometimes it happens. It's happened when I've been working on the clock, and there have been times, not many, but there have been times when the job wasn't that important. So I would take the time to write the song and maybe lose the job. I didn't lose the job, but I didn't do it that often. But yeah, no, I would. Sometimes it can happen in 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2 months, 3 months to finish a song. It really depends. It's just something that either you nurture it or it goes away. I'll have years without really. I had to force it at times. People will say, "Write a song for this," and I didn't want to write a song. I didn't want to get near a guitar. But you just force yourself to do it like any other job. At times it's like that, but then when you're feeling inspirational, it just keeps coming.
When you write that many songs, do you have a favorite?
Whichever one I'm singing, yeah, it's always the one.
Because I interviewed Paul Anka.
Yeah,
guy wrote thousands of songs. Put Your Head on My Shoulder, My Way, da da da. That's a long one. He said he didn't have really a favorite, like you just said, the one you were writing at that time. Yeah. But he did like song Do I Love You. Do I love you? Don't you know by now? Da da da. And one of my songs that I sang in my shows.
Well, let's hear it. No, I don't have a guitar with me, and I don't even know it, so I couldn't play it. I have to hear it first, folks. I'm not that good.
We could sing some rock.
I have a
Miller
phonographic memory in that. After I've heard it, I can play it, but it's a phonographic, not photographic. People think that's smart.
Play Roger Miller?
I think I played...
Engine number 9. Coming down. I'm not here to sing, but anyway.
I think you should sing. I think you should sing I'm the Walrus. I think that would be the best song for you. Because if I just, cuckoo, ka-choo, can you see that? In a top hat, maybe? I am the Eggman. I think it would be, he's coming out of his shell. He's the Eggman, but we're letting him out of his shell today.
Yeah.
All right, that's my pet name.
Oh well, actually, I started out as
I'm the Elephant Man.
I was doing over 50 impressions when I started out.
Wow! So what? Like, name some of the people you did.
The people who were the thing. My whole act died. I didn't mean. The people who were in it died. You do Liberace, and you're talking like this, and think about Liberace is hard thing you do. They got the same voice,
Right,
and of course back then, Richard Nixon. Nobody remembers Nixon.
I remember Nixon.
I'm not a crook. Yeah, I'm not a crook. And of course Jimmy Stewart and Ed Sullivan did them.
Sock it to ya.
Yeah.
That was like laughing. Sock it to ya.
Sock it to me?
Sock it to me. That's what that was.
He didn't. No. He never saw laughing at all. That was not he didn't like asking a question. That's not what people did when they did that. And everything, so I did all these interviews, but I didn't consider myself Frank Gorshin, who was a good friend of mine, one of the greatest. And I never met Rich Little, but he's another great one. I didn't want to just be an impressionist. I wanted to do comedy and music. I would do the whole bag.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, some people, like Red Skelton, good night and God bless, good night.
Red Skelton was a weird one. I saw some of his shows. I'm a huge Abbott Costello fan. And this is where we're going to take a little turn to because Chris Costello. That was Lou Costello's daughter, Chris Costello. And if you're still alive. Hi, Chris. I know you're still alive.
Chris did my show.
She's great. I got to talk to her for that's something that we actually bonded on in the very beginning. Because I was telling you about Abbott Costello or something, and you go, "Well, I've been to her house a couple of times. Never went to her house."
Matter of fact, tell you the story here before we go on. Chris Costello when I came out to Hollywood, I think I was visiting at the time, or I don't remember. She was the first person's house who I went to and to visit.
Wow.
And the amazing thing, while I was there, she got a call on the phone. People get these weird calls from. Told her that Abbott Costello Jr. died at that time.
Oh, man.
Really?
I remember that. I remember because I followed them. They're a family. I followed.
But I mean, Bud Abbott Jr. Not Abbott. Bud
no,
Abbott.
I know his son. Yeah, I remember. It was pretty much. She was really young too.
Yeah. Because she was. I haven't seen her though in years.
Now Lou Costello died when he was 53 or 56.
I think it was
56.
52, 53 years old.
Yeah, he was very young.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy that funny.
Yeah, he had that.
They were my favorite team. They were my favorite of that era. I mean, I had every single video that was available, all the Colgate comedy hours they did, all their TV shows. I had the radio shows on cassette tapes. I had all these cassette tapes. I just collected everything. Yeah, and there were some great on the radio show. Mel Blanc. Now I don't know if you ever met him, but
didn't meet him, but I know who he is.
You didn't meet him?
No, didn't meet him.
Okay.
I met June Foray, who I interviewed, who was a woman, Mel Blanc, who did all those voices. She did Rocky the Flying Squirrel and Natasha and many voices Natasha. She did on those cartoons.
See, so that's I met some animators here, and the animators are the best, by the way. As far as when you're at a party, if you're at a party, hang out with animators.
Yeah, well, my older brother. There were 7 of us. My oldest brother.
They're funny people.
Is a cartoonist, so
yeah. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think Bill Kopp is like one of the guys that did Roger. I met him. I've been in a couple parties with him. The guy's freaking funny. He's just engaging, because they are. They're like these he's like a cartoon, but he's a human, But he actually thinks like a cartoon character. I love that.
One of the funniest guys I ever interviewed, and this was Adam West, Batman.
Oh yeah,
he sits there.
He used to hang out at the Oyster House. Yeah.
He used to make these jokes, and about him. We'll tell them that Robin and I don't really spend all that time together. It's just
No, he was hilarious. I only got to see him but I knew some of the waitresses that knew him. So.
And another guy who was very funny, Jimmy Dean. It was a country singer, but the sausage guy now. But we did an hour interview of jokes back and forth. He's doing the Italian jokes, and I'm doing the Southern boy jokes, and we're kidding each other, and all this went out over the air too. So it was funny.
Well, I think we're going to take a break, and we'll edit this down a little bit, and we'll come back and do some more before you leave.
Oh, we have commercials here?
Yeah, we're not going to. I'm not sure what this is. An odd cast, and it hasn't been created yet. So we'll see what there might be a clip of you in between here, or maybe a link to a clip I'm going to advertise a link to where they can see Mickey. You can see Mickey do his thing, in the nightclubs.
Want me to sing before we leave? No, it's just a joke.
No, you can sing if you. Yeah, I mean, do I desire it? I've seen you sing, and let me say. It's something you won't forget, ladies and gentlemen. It's something you will not forget.
You're too funny. You're getting too funny. Okay.
Well, now that we've pat each other
I sing when it's not for money, I only sing in the shower. That's it. I get paid to do it.
No, I've heard you in the bedroom a couple times singing there and there.
I'm practicing my voice,
Yeah. I thought you were on the phone. I didn't realize it was that weird. Okay.
Hello, welcome to the very first Oddcast. This is called My Pandemic Point of View, and it's on plastic cups. I never used to have a true affection for plastic cups, but now I do, because plastic cups have never come in contact with human hands, not before you, or at most maybe just a few. So plastic cups, here's to you. I never used to love you, but now I do, thanks to my pandemic point of view. This has been an Oddcast, a warped record, so to speak, a warped recording, a warped idea, and we hope it helps you sleep. Good night.
All right, we're back, and
where did we go?
We didn't go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you left somewhere. Maybe people out there went somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, you say we're back. People wonder where were they?
Yeah, we wondered about that too, because I never went anywhere when we're back. They didn't go anywhere. But yes, okay. semantics. I just wanted. So my first gig when I got to town, the first actual job I got here as a musician. Because I did some phone marketing thing at first when I got here, but
I've been there. I've done that stuff too.
Yeah,
hate it.
Yeah, it was not fun. Anyway, it was Sportsman's Lodge. Now they've the Sportsman's is a hotel here in a. It's like it's on Ventura here. It's up the street. It's a very famous spot as far as it's got a lot of history to it. And they just rebuilt it. They're rebuilding it now, actually, as we.
And they used to have. I think they tore it down now. They had this,
the Muddy Moose.
This big building there along the side of it. They call it Sportsman's Lodge.
Yeah,
and that's where they tore that down. That's before I did the first show there.
Yeah,
the first autograph show that I did back in 2003 is where I did the first show there. That's where we had the 150 people and 150 celebrities.
Celebrities.
Yeah. Then there was more people with the audience, but 150 celebrities there, and then most of them though were done at Beverly Garland's in Studio City, and then I did one at the CBS Studio Center outside on a set the Western Street they call it. Great, looked great on paper. Looked like a great idea. Right. But once you started doing it, and not taking to that it was 100 degrees that day in April, and it was horrible experience. I call it the heat wave, the heat stroke show. Okay. It was horrible.
But not all the shows went well, is what you're saying. You had not one. But now, going back to Sportsman's Lodge, what I liked about that place was I did it every Tuesday. I'd go there and play for a few hours, and there were regulars. There weren't a whole lot of people there. It was in the afternoon. It was a happy hour thing on a Tuesday. But every Tuesday we'd have some of the same people there. There's this Joyce, who I ended up a friend at the Oyster House. I mean, I had met these people there. I've known them for like 10 years, and up until the pandemic, I would see them all the time. One of the producers from Price is Right was there. I think this was right after when Drew Carey just started. But it was interesting, and I was like, the people they were all industry people.
Well, they had separate rooms at that place. One was a restaurant, one was a banquet room.
Well, they had the Muddy. I played in the Muddy Moose.
Yeah, we were in the banquet room.
Yeah, it's the back of the Muddy Moose. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was a big building, but they had the restaurant, and the bar, and all. I played in the bar, and it was fun. It was all right. It wasn't. It was show business. From roughly speaking.
Yeah. Very rough. Well, yeah.
It's show business because I got a check, but they had to mail it to me. I didn't even get it in person. Sometimes they mail it to you.
Did they always remember to mail it to you?
Usually, I think I got it. I don't know. I never got paid on the night of the show. That was it. I remember that. I forget if I had to come back and get it or they mailed it or something happened. But no, I mean they paid me until, of course, I quit, or they stopped paying me and then I quit. I forget how it worked, but. When I didn't do it for fun as much as it was fun, but I didn't do it for I did because I had to, which was I didn't want to do it back then. I was not into it at that time in my life, but still it was good to do it. I was playing the Santa Monica Pier a lot. I had a permit and I'd go busk down there at 3rd Street Promenade. I did that for a few years, and that was I actually looked forward to it. I didn't like the commute because it took me longer to get there. On the 405, and then I have to wait 2 hours.
You were going there from Studio City, right?
Yeah, I was going to Santa Monica from Studio City, and then I had to bring a dolly, and I had a car battery and a PA system, and then I had my guitar, and I had a dolly, and I all this stuff, and you have to walk.
Those of you who don't know, we're not in LA. That's a long ride.
It's a long ride, and it's a couple hours in traffic, and then each way. And then you get there, and then you get 2 hours of playing time if you find a spot. Usually they're all taken already, and there's only these designated spots. So then you play in that spot for 2 hours, and then you have to move to another spot or wait another 2 hours to find, for a spot to open. It's a whole day of it, and sometimes you don't even break even, but. Yeah. But that's not what it's all about. It's all about doing what you love to do and finding a place to do it. And anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about Sportsman's Lodge. Is there anything else you want to?
Well, the unless there's anybody else you want to know, like I interviewed a whole bunch of them, but we can.
But I don't know who they are.
Talk about them.
Yeah, we can always do this again.
Yeah.
You can come by again. Mm-hmm. You are moving, but you're not moving that far away. You're moving to Hollywood and Vine, which is a.
Thanks for telling everybody that.
Well, I'm not going to tell them your address, but I'm just saying that's a very, that's where Love Potion number 9 was. I thought up.
Yeah. I'm going to be still in the area for a while anyway.
Yeah.
I was thinking about maybe going back to Florida eventually, but
think you're going to do another show with the pandemic?
I'd like to if we can get.
What we're going to do now is we're going to put the link up, and then you guys can click on seeing Mickey do his thing, and it's.
If you watch that, it's just a demo, very short pieces of a show that I did. As a matter of fact, that show it was done a few years back when for the purposes of being seen and get work and everything like that.
Who a couple people helped you with it, or who?
Well, there were amazingly enough that there were Stanley Livingston, who's a good friend, who was on Chip on. Good friend of mine. He was
on Chip.
He was the video director for Chip on My Three Sons.
Oh, Chip on My Three Sons. I thought he was on Chips.
Yeah, he was.
That's the cop show. He was a very small cop, but okay.
Yeah, very small, about 30 feet.
Doesn't mean he couldn't be lethal. It just means he was, All right, go ahead.
And he did that, and other people, other friends of mine who were in there, and people like Shirley Jones and Marty Ingalls and Lee Merriweather were all in the audience. Came to see this. There's a friend of mine, Lee Merriweather, who's a very good friend of mine, who was the first Miss America been knowing her for years. Dawn Wells, who recently passed away from Gilligan's Island, she was my very first celebrity interview that I did.
Wow.
And I remember things going to my mind.
Shirley Jones, she's still around, right?
Who?
Shirley Jones.
Shirley's still around. I heard she's semi-retired now, but she's still around. She was there, and she's married to Marty Ingalls at that time. He's gone now.
Right.
And
she was David Cassidy's stepmom.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, David
in
Cassidy,
real life.
Well, in real life, Dave Cassidy had a real mother, of course, but she was like his. She was married.
Well, on the show, she was his mom on the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot about David Cassidy because he was my first hero. Yeah. Even before people think, Neil Young's your hero or James Taylor's your hero. Tom. Yes, they're all my heroes.
You worked with David. I knew his mother.
I didn't work with him. He did sing through my PA down here about a year before he passed away. I got to meet him, and it was it was a very emotional thing for me. He didn't. I don't think he would even recognize me the next day. Not that he was drinking or anything, just because we didn't have that much. I took a picture of him with my sister, and I said hello to him when he was smoking a cigar in the back. But he didn't drink the whole time, and I know he had a drinking problem, but he didn't show it there. In fact, he claimed that he was on the wagon, and he might have been that night. Obviously, it was at the bar. He didn't feel comfortable being in the bar. He let us know that. And he was constantly going in the back to smoke cigars. That's all I know about him. And, I got to take his picture, and it was kind of cool. But, yeah, that's what's great about being in L.A. You get to meet these people that affected, Ed Asner was another one. At the Oyster House, I'm loading my gear, and there's Ed Asner opening the door for me. Now, where is that going to happen? Where does Ed Asner help you load your gear? Anywhere else. It doesn't happen anywhere else. That's why we...
Yeah, well, at my shows, like I think I told you before we went on here, Trini Lopez, who also lost his battle with this coronavirus recently, I sang with him, and I was on stage there gave Showstopper awards. My show's called Showstopper Stars. My autograph shows, and I gave awards to Kooky Ed Burns, who was and Marjorie Lord, Danny Thomas, and Shirley got one, and bunch of celebrities who in these shows we were giving them. We're just
going to call this on the couch name dropping on the couch.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for.
I know. People make fun of you. You're just a name dropper. Well, then give me some names because I'm trying to help the conversation along. Well, actually, if you
probably know that.
If Jack Nicholson, I'm going to want to listen to the story. Okay, I don't, because more so than about your cat.
If I'm asked, I'll talk about it. But you probably know because you. 2.5 years we've been here. I don't talk that much about what I.
No, he doesn't talk at all, and we literally, I have to sit there, and then he doesn't want to be in the same room, which I understand because I mean, look, we live together, we're close enough. It's like, and it's like you know, I think it's cool. You know, we respect each other's space. You know, we still get along, but we just don't. We don't get along to the point where we're going to have an argument. That we're not that. It doesn't have to go that deep. So
another thing I don't like about you is you're too funny. I tell you, you're too.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Before
big show right here.
We got a really big shoe.
Yeah.
The Beatles, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs. Yeah. Where's my build picture? Somewhere
Thank
around
you,
here.
folks, for tuning in.
Yeah, and tune in, share, dare to share, take the click, dare to share. If you enjoyed this, share it with people. That's called distribution, and we should be in. They should feed you things. You should feed other people things. If you like it, feed it to your friends. If you don't like it, you should have turned it off a long time ago. Bye.
See you later.